Hi, this is Dr. Ren Hartung. For this video, I wanted to show you how to build a quiz in Canvas that is more difficult for your students to cheat on. In order to do that, I'll show you how to save a test bank using testgen into a file that Canvas can deal with. And if you're using a different type of software, I'll cover that too. How to upload that test bank into Canvas, and then how to build a quiz using that test bank that decreases the chances for cheating. I'm in my testgen, and here's how I build my test banks in order to get them to Canvas. The first thing I do is I click on Make a Paper Test, and then I go over here to my test banks and grab the part of the test bank that I want. I'm looking for a skeletal system. It's right here. And this is a test bank with lots of true, false, and multiple choice questions for skeletal system. I'm just going to pull over the whole thing and put all of those questions into this paper test that I'm making. Now I have that test, and I'm going to go up here to File. First I'm going to click on the test to make sure it's going to do this for that test, and I'm going to export that test. It wants to know what type of export file to make, and I want it to make a QTI file. A QTI file. And here's where other software comes into play. If you're using ExamView or another type of software, you can still export your test bank as a QTI file. You just have to figure out how if you don't know already. But that's what you need for Canvas, is a QTI file. I'm going to click OK. And then it wants to know where I'm going to save that QTI file. You may have to look for it or make a file to save these into. I already have a file ready, so I'm just going to use that file. Skeletal system and joints. I name that test bank and I save it. Now I have the file ready to upload to Canvas. So I can go over to Canvas, click on the class that I'm teaching that I'll use this test bank in. And now that I'm in the class, I need to get to my uploading area. And to get there, you go to Settings. And once the setting loads, you're looking on this side for Import Content into this course. Click on that. And that'll bring up the import console, basically. It wants to know what type of content, and I'm going to go down here and tell it it's a QTI zip file. And then I have to choose the file and tell it where this file is in my computer. So I'm going to find that file that I exported. And there it is, skeletal system and joints. Click Open. Now we're ready to import, and I can click on Import. Sometimes it tells you it's queued. If the system is busy, it's already running and it's already complete. That was quick. So now the test bank is up there and ready to use. Now what I need to do is go over here and click on Quizzes. And I'm only doing this first to show you where you can get to your test banks. And for any of you that are going to build a test bank from scratch on Canvas. All right, I clicked on Quizzes. Here are the 3 quizzes I've built for this class so far. This untitled quiz down below, I've noticed it always gets, one of these always gets generated when I upload a test bank. And just to keep down on clutter, I always delete these. The test bank still exists, so it's okay to delete this. And now I can go to the test banks. In order to do that, again, you're in the quizzes window. Go over here to the gear icon. Click on it, and it'll say Manage Test Banks. Click on Manage Question Banks. And here are all of my question banks or test banks. Down here at the bottom is the one that I just uploaded. I'm going to change its name by clicking on the little pencil icon over here, because I want it to have a number. And the reason I do that is that causes it to come up in sequence with the other ones. Makes it easier to find when I'm looking for it later. There's another thing I wanted to show you while we're here. This is also where you would build a test bank if you want to build a test bank from scratch in Canvas. You would simply go up here to this button, Add Question Bank, click on it, and you got to give the question bank a name before you can start playing with it. I'm just going to give it this name. And then to start adding questions, click on the name of the question bank, and that opens up the question bank and shows you any questions that it has already. And over here you can add questions. You have lots of options to add questions to this test bank. You can add a multiple choice question, true, false, fill in the blank, and so on. My recommendation, if this is what you want to do, is to get in here and build a fake question bank like I just did, called Not Real or Sandbox Questions or something like that, and then start playing with building questions and figure out what it is exactly that you want to do for your own classes. That's how you build a question bank. And as long as we're here, I have 2 question banks that I don't want, so I'm going to delete them. Just click on this little X. If you want to delete a question bank. And then lastly, before I leave here, if you bookmark your question banks, then those question banks that are bookmarked will come up when you're adding questions to a quiz or a test. I'm done dealing with my question banks. I'm going to go back to my module and build the actual quiz. So here are my modules. I'm going down to Skeletal System module. There it is. And I'm going to make sure that's published. And then I'm going to add something to this module. I'm going to tell it I'm adding a quiz, a new quiz, and I'm going to name it. I don't want it to be a discussion. I want it to be a quiz. And this is something I do. Whenever I have something that's graded, I always indent those graded materials. So students know whenever they look at a module, anything that's indented for me is something they'll be graded on. I'm done with those options. I'm going to click Add Item. And now when I look in that module, I can see the quiz down here, but notice it's gray because it's unpublished and it doesn't have any questions in it right now. So in order to add questions, I'm going to click on the quiz. And I'll show you how to do general settings as well as adding questions. Now we're in the quiz, I can click Edit. And once that loads, the details are basically the general items for the quiz, like the name of the quiz, any instructions you want the students to see. And then down here, what type of quiz. Mine are always graded. I want there to be at least something to be gained from it, I guess, for the students point-wise. Tends to keep them more motivated. Assignment group, that's set up within your grade book. And of course the group for this one is quizzes. The next option is, do you want the answers to your questions to be shuffled? And I don't click this because some of my questions have all of the above as an option, so it's not a good idea to shuffle the answers. Here's where we start limiting the possibilities for cheating. Give them a time limit. And what I do and what I recommend is to give them 1 minute per question. This quiz will have 10 questions, so I'm giving them 10 minutes to complete the quiz. And the way that this decreases on cheating is it gives them a limited amount of time to look things up, to Google for the correct answer or to look it up in their textbook, etc. So that's how that's decreasing cheating. I allow my students multiple attempts. And once you click on that, you have options. Do you want the system to keep their highest grade as part of their grade in gradebook, or the latest time they took the quiz, or do you want the average of the attempts that you allowed them to be entered? I like to pick the highest, and I like to allow them 3 attempts. Next, down here, do you want the students to see their quiz responses? And I like them to see their responses, but I don't let them see the correct answer. That way, if they got that question wrong, in order to figure out what the correct answer is, they have to go look it up and learn it. And my hope is that they learn it better that way, instead of me just handing it to them. I never show one question at a time because that tends to irritate students. And the quiz restrictions area, that is used if you want them to take their quiz in the Tutoring and Testing Center. Then you would want to click on Require an Access Code and then give this quiz some kind of password. Whoops, if I can spell password. And then again, make sure you share that password with the Tutoring and Testing Center so that they can sign the student into it when it's time. Lastly, what is the due date for your quiz, and when do you want them to be able to start taking it, and when do you want the quiz to be closed so they can't take it anymore? And I'm not going to do that right now because I'm not sure exactly when. I am done with the details for my quiz for now. I want to add questions, so I'm going to click on Questions, and I want to add a question group. This opens up this panel, and we can name this group if we want to. We can tell the system how many questions to pull from the test bank for this question group, and we can tell the system how many points each question is going to be worth. I have told it to pick 10 questions from the test bank and to make each question worth half of a point. That will leave me with a quiz that has 10 questions, and the total number of points for the quiz will be 5. And then we want to link to a question bank. Click on that and it brings up your question banks. Here's the one that we uploaded earlier. Click on that question bank and select it. Once we click on Select Bank, now down here it says questions will be pulled from that bank. Remember that test bank has lots of questions, 30 plus questions. It will pull randomly from those questions when it pulls those questions. And then lastly, before I can save the entire quiz, I have to click on Create Group. Once we click on that, that group is created. If you click Save before you create the group, then those questions will not be saved. Your quiz will not have any questions in it. I'm done, so I'm going to go down here, and I don't want to publish it quite yet. I'm going to click Save. And now we're still in the quiz, but it hasn't been published, but this quiz is saved and it's ready to go. Now I can click on Preview, and that will show me what the students will see when they're taking the quiz. We should see 10 questions that are multiple choice or true or false. And this looks good. When I'm done looking at this, I can click Submit and click OK. I could take the quiz myself if I wanted to. And the other thing I can do is I can preview it again if I want to. And what I should see is another 10 questions, but it shouldn't be the same 10 questions. Again, it's pulling randomly. This is the other way we're decreasing the chances of cheating. No two students see the same quiz, so they can't call each other and say, hey, what did you get for question number 3, for example, because everybody will have a different question number 3. And that's it. I'm done building the quiz. If I go back to modules and go down to that module, I should see the quiz. There it is, and it's worth 5 points. That lets me know that the questions are in there, and I'm ready to publish it. But of course, I'll go back and look at my dates and make sure that the due date and everything is correct first. So that's how you do it. And again, big picture, what we've done here is we've either uploaded or created a test bank with lots of questions, and then we built a quiz that has a time limit to decrease the chances for cheating by looking things up and Googling. And we've told the quiz to pull randomly from this large test bank so that we decrease cheating by making sure that every student sees a different quiz when they see the quiz. And that's it. That's all I wanted to show you today. If you have questions about this video, please feel free to contact me. If you have more questions about Canvas, then please contact our on-campus Canvas guru. Her name is Julie Cotton, and she knows a lot more about Canvas than I do. Thank you for watching.